Hello. Welcome to the newest episode of my garage podcast. It's crazy it's been like almost 4 months since I've started this. Um this week just not much economy wise, but kinda just kinda more personal like what I think about the situation, and I'm still somebody that's learning about this and trying to still actively um stay in the loop and just keep learning more about what is happening in the world and how these decisions that people are making, how they affect us day to day, and how we can progress as a society and make it what's given to us and make it a better world for tomorrow. Um, the first thing I want to discuss is that um, I'm officially on break. The last week was terrible for me. I had finals, and from last, like 2 weeks ago, or I guess a week ago on maybe like December 9th, I started um I started studying for my finals, and by like Tuesday, or honestly by Wednesday, I was just so done. My brain was on fire, and it was like all the finals that I've been doing for my accounting class, my calculus 2. That one was the worst one out of all of them. My English class, my psychology class. It was just really bad for me. Or I don't like I don't think I've ever worked that hard in my life. It kind of sounds stupid to say, but I don't think I've like put that much effort into something just to succeed as much as I did. Um and I don't know, I feel like it paid off because when I took my accounting exam and my psychology exam, I got a good grade on it. And hopefully on my English paper, it's been yet to be graded, but I feel pretty good about that. And then my math final was terrible. It was on Thursday, December 18th, and it was 3 hours long. And 3 hours long, and I used all 3 of the hours, and it was just so hard, or not hard. It was just such a daunting thing. Like 3 hours straight of all the things that I learned in the semester, and just I don't know. I feel like the amount of effort I put into that, I feel like I really paid off. I hope it pays off. Because in the first exam, I didn't do too good. It was before I started getting help with like being able to focus and just like doing my work, I guess. So I first exam I didn't do too good, and then the last three exams I clutched up so much. Like the highest grade I got on one of my exams was a 96, and then on another exam, out of those three exams, I got an 87. Um, I got an 87 for my grade. And it was so stupid because I misread something. I keep talking about it because it just annoys me so much. But basically, yeah, I by the end before my final, I have a 90 in the class, a 92 in the class. And I don't know. I felt like after all the stress that I put myself through, I felt like I earned the grade that I did have. And when I was pushing through and just remembering the goals I have set for myself, what I really want to accomplish as long as I'm alive, and what needs to be done. I don't know. I've always had this big fear of like I guess being rejected, or yeah, being rejected, and especially now I um and like the more I talk about it, the more I like talk about my fear of being like rejected and being scared to like speak out and be myself. I realize the stupider it sounds, Like, I have this fear that I can't do something, but like everything in my life has proved otherwise, that anything that I've put effort towards, that I can accomplish. And so the more that I say out loud that like I'm scared to do these things, and like, or I'm scared to speak up or find the answer to my problem, I like I realize like how dumb it sounds, and like I don't know, there's still more things that I need to get done and like work through in order to like truly believe that anything I want I can have, or like to not be so fearful of rejection. But I feel like I've made a lot of progress in with that, like within myself, to be able to not be scared to work for a long period of time, on like last Sunday when I was doing my, like after I finished uploading my podcast at like, or no, before I recorded it at like 10 in the morning, and then like from like 12 to 8 I was just working on my English paper, and like getting help from people and like my friends, um and getting feedback. Like it was it was just a really it was just a really hard semester this year. But I'm glad that I proved to myself that I can do this. I can work hard towards something, towards my goals, and do something even if I'm scared. So the first thing I want to talk about in this podcast is discuss what a partnership is, and like what is needed for a partnership. How do partnerships work? See my talking points, I guess. And how does money slip between partners? Just how the whole process of partnerships go about. And this is what I kind of want to talk about, because my main goal is to own my own business, and more than likely I'm going to be needing partners or people to invest capital into what business I want to. For example, I guess one of my mentors, or like a person that I look up to, and coming from a similar situation that I've been in, and even living in the same city as my dad, and going to school that I really want to go to. I talked to him like a year ago, or the first time I talked to him like a year ago. He was telling me about how he got into his partnership, and how he got money to start his business, or start his business. And basically the way he started was by asking practically close friends to, well, basically in a short, his business is that he owns a whole bunch of student housing at USC, and 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 I just want to discuss like how that worked, and how he was able to get capital for starting his business. Basically, he would crowdfund by asking like family and friends to see how much money they invest, and then with that money that they got back from investing, they paid back their partners, and or paid back the investors, and in return the investors would want more because they saw a good return on their investment. And I just want to discuss partnerships and how they work. So basically, before a partnership officially happens, there's something that needs to happen, and that is a partnership agreement. And that needs to be settled before anything can happen between partners. For a partnership to happen, it has to be an agreement between two or more people, and that agreement is called a partnership agreement. And what goes into that partnership agreement is many things, and I'll get into that. Even though mostly the partnership should be written and should have lawyers or at least some type of official that can look over it and make it fair, that make sure like the one partner is not screwing over the other partner, to make sure it's fair. A partnership agreement can be stated verbally and it can be legally binding between two partners. What is usually agreed upon in a partnership agreement, or what is included in a partnership agreement, is the names of partners and contributors of the partners, the rights and duties of partners, a sharing of income and losses, if any of the partners withdraws and what is to happen, and the arrangements that are needed in a partnership, a partner leaving. If partners are fighting, there needs to be dispute procedures to see what happens if one partner feels like the other partner is screwing them over. Then in the partnership agreement there's a set procedure with lawyers and things like that to determine what is the next step. And there has to be a procedure if a partner wants to withdraw from the partnership or if a new member wants to join in. Also, the rights and duties that each partner has to deal with managing businesses, just managing day-to-day things, and what responsibility each partner needs to deal with. Even though this seems like this big binding thing, partnerships are limited. And there's ways to avoid partnerships. And the most obvious one is if one of the partners dies, or the partnership leaves a partner disabled or disability, or just something goes wrong with one of the partners, or bankruptcy of the partners, and that's how partnerships can get avoided. Any one of the partners can end a partnership through something called dissolution, and that is just the process where they can withdraw or end the partnership, and what is just basically the end of it. When it comes to taxing of a partnership, in most cases, there's this thing called a general partnership, and mostly, in most cases, businesses are not taxed, but the individual partners are taxed. But there are some cases where this can where the business does get taxed, and I'll get into those types shortly. And basically, individual partners are taxed, not the whole business. There's this term called in a partnership. There's this term called unlimited liability, and this means when a partner cannot pay their debts, and creditors come in to get back that debt that they owe a company. To pay back their debts, creditors take partners' personal assets, and if their personal assets are not enough, then they take from other partners to pay back their debts. And personal assets can be their house, their cars, anything that that partner owns. And if that isn't enough, then it goes to the next partner, and until the debt is paid off. And in that partnership agreement, it is discussed how that whole ordeal will go if these partners can't pay back the debt, especially if one partner just makes a deal and then for the rest of the company they can't pay it back. And then in this case, this is where opportunities like allowing private equity or selling shares to an open market come into play. And basically, private equity firms come in and buy the debts that they have in return for becoming a board member. And with that, they hope to make a profit from the company to make back their original purchase of buying that debt. Private equity, many disagree with the practice because they feel as if the firm makes the company feel soulless. But in a society like the United States, firms benefit highly from this process or this practice. Or practically the same thing happens if they sell their shares out to an open market. Um, if they, in which partners put the shares that they own of the company to something like an index, and then that allows investors to come in and buy those shares. And this is the same as private equity, but kind of different because when they're selling their shares, for the most part, investors believe that they can make a profit, and so the hell. Saw my dog run by. But I think for the most part, investors will only invest in a company if they believe that it's worth something. And that's the same for private equity. That they like the core idea of a company, and they're just not managing it correctly in order to make a profit. And that's for the most case why these private equity firms and just selling a company to the open market, that's why this happens. And in this case, depending on how much the original investors have, or how much shares that the new investors have, they can kick out the original partners if they have more shares than the original partners. And for the most part, you do not want to sell more than 50%. Like, you want to have more shares than the new investors coming in order to avoid this and stay in on the original company or the original partnership that you and your partners made. As well, in partnerships, there's this term called mutual agency, which one partner can sign deals and those deals become binding for all partners. And that will become more important as we get on, or as I continue to speak on this deal. And I'm just going to discuss the type of partnerships and kind of how they work. Firstly, the most common type is called a general partnership, in which this is the most basic type of partnerships, and this is the most, like, when the average person thinks of a partnership, this is what it is. And in which partners have mutual agency and unlimited liability, meaning that they're actually part of the company. If there's a deal that goes wrong, they have to face repercussions because of it. And there's this other term I was trying to say. But yeah, that's the first type, a general partnership. Next, there's this term called a limited partnership. This is a type of partnership in which someone who wants to invest in a partnership but does not want to deal with unlimited liability. So if there's something that goes wrong in the partnership, they don't have to deal with it. A limited partnership has limited partners and general partners. For a limited partnership, there has to be at least one general partner who has to manage the day-to-day in the business and have unlimited liability. Limited partners usually do not have liabilities or unlimited liabilities other than the original investment that they made into a company. This is the most common type of partnership that venture capital firms, private equity firms, etc. have. So, when venture capitalist firms and private equity firms come in, they don't have to deal with liabilities or debts that unlimited liabilities or debts for the company have. And that's how private equity firms kind of stay safe, or kind of have a safeguard for avoiding huge problems. The next type of partnership is called a limited liability partnership. In short, This means when an individual makes a decision that results in malpractice, that sole partner is responsible for that. So that means that, so if a company makes a bad deal, that means that only one partner has to face the repercussions of that, of the problems within that deal. And this is different from a general partnership where if one partner makes a deal, that means that all the partners have to deal with that repercussions. The next type is called an S corporation, in which companies with 100 or fewer owners can choose to be treated as a partnership for tax purposes. S corporations have limited liability partnerships, in which if one partner makes a decision because of how many partners there are, that means that only that one partner has to deal with those problems, losing their house or having to pay back their debts in any means possible. S corporations have the advantage of being a partnership, but it does not pay corporate income taxes. So they don't have to deal with it the other way that companies do. If owners decide to move to an S corporation, then salaries are treated as expenses for the company. The remaining income or losses that may happen are then allocated to owners and included on their personal tax statements. So if they lose money, then individuals have to pay back that debt. Or if they get money, then it goes to the individuals, not just the whole corporation. Oh, my dog. And that's kind of... Oh, what the fuck? Hopefully that was not bad and destroyed your ears, because it just went all the way to the red. And that's kind of what it goes into with dealing with a partnership. And the next thing I want to discuss is kind of AI. I feel like as of late, AI has been taking over. It's boosting our economy. Weird dog. AI is boosting our economy. It's the only reason that we haven't been in a recession. With the amount of investments and, I guess, revenue, you could say, between these big tech companies, it could say that's why the economy is still doing good even after how jobless claims and unemployment has been rising. And the only sign of good that the U.S. economy is striving. But the main part I want to talk about is how AI has been, the negatives and the downside of AI. And I feel like they far outweigh the positives and the potential of artificial intelligence. For example, how much water is needed to run these data centers, and the amount of processing power that it takes in order to deal with these prompts. And I understand that the reason is to further society and to further innovation by having these AI companies be able to process things faster. But I feel like those far outweigh what's happening. Like, when it comes to people that want to build computers, there are 3 companies that produce RAM, and RAM is the processing power, or from what I understand, is the processing power that's needed to produce images and make sure that things are that run smoothly on your computer. And in the US, or at least as far as I know, there are 3 big companies that produce RAM, or chips that are in RAM. And recently, RAM prices have been skyrocketing because of AI, and there's been a RAM shortage. And things that cost like $200 are now costing double the price, triple the price, because a lot of these AI companies are buying up all the chips and leaving less for consumers. And recently, on December 3rd, one of the big companies, I don't want to get this wrong, the big companies Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron have been just selling it straight to technology companies. And Micron, on December 3rd, they published that they were going to be pulling out of consumer retail. So now there's only 2 big companies that are producing RAM. And my question is, why has there been such a big push for RAM, and why do these things continue to happen? And it, as far as we know, it isn't benefiting consumers. It's actually making people think less critically and not make decisions. Like, I know in high school, and especially in high school and middle school, I know that in college it does affect people, but basically less people are doing their own work. They're more reliant on AI now than they have been in the past couple of years, because how easy it is. And I feel like it's a tool that we can use for good and bad, and for the most part, humans have been using it for bad. They've been using it to cheat and get past things that they should be doing. And I can't say that I'm this better person, because in the past, I've used artificial intelligence to get through an assignment that I had no idea, and help me to do something that I didn't know. But there's still the point that it's artificial intelligence is very damaging. And that's kind of what I want to leave you with this episode. I'm still deciding in these next 2 weeks that I'm on break, if I'm going to upload a new episode, or if I'm just going to take a break completely from school. But if you guys don't see an episode next week, just know that I'm probably on a 2-week break. But I will get back to uploading shortly. And my college decisions are going to be in August, and August to March to August. And I'm excited to learn what is going to happen in my future, if I'm going to have to stay here another year, or if all the work that I did put in this year, that it paid off. And I just want to say thank you guys, and please continue to watch.